We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Joy in my house, joy in my house, joy. I got joy.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Joy in My House, inspirational reality show with a touch of recovery. A reality show where nothing is left unsaid.
And no one is insignificant who shares.
I'm joined here by my co-host and recording artist, Lolita Robinson.
How are you doing today? I'm
Welcome to
moving
the
my
show.
hair because you did like this, so maybe it's my eye. How are you doing today?
I can't complain. I can,
I can, but I'm not.
you know
we're
what?
gonna
I
save
guess
that
I
for
could
you. Don't
complain, but
lie.
who's gonna want to listen? Well, last night I had a great opportunity to attend an event up Mulholland Drive in Beverly
Okay,
Hills
whose event
by
was
a
it?
company called Tribe.
Okay.
It's an up and coming company that are promoting events, but they're doing it for the arts and heart fashion for LA Fashion Week that's coming up. I'm
Oh,
also going to be
okay.
able to attend some of those fashion events as well.
Well, do they do other events too? Because we're
I
planning
believe
on,
so. I
you know.
believe so. So I'm getting in contact with them, but this opportunity is just amazing. I got contacted by Metropolitan Fashion Week,
Oh,
and
wow.
they're interested in me doing some of the red carpet and maybe even interviewing the host. And
You gonna take our boy Jimmy with you?
yeah, Jimmy, exactly.
Jimmy's our baby. We need to have Jimmy on one time because he's had some.
We should.
You know what?
yeah.
Jimmy's had some challenges.
That's right.
And he's come through. Didn't he have some health challenges for a
really did.
while?
My cameraman Jimmy has been
Yeah.
amazing. He's been with us since the beginning.
Yeah, he
pretty
came to
much.
one of my events and has been very, very,
Very faithful.
very faithful. So you know what, Jimmy, you're gonna be getting a call, dude. You're
That's
gonna
right, you get a call.
call.
But it's an amazing opportunity to meet some of these amazing designers that now have become friends of
yeah,
mine.
look
and
at you.
have been telling me, why don't you come and attend my event? They give me front row seat tickets, and they're like,
See
we
how
would
you
love
are?
for you.
Do I get an invite? See how you are?
And you want, but you want to know the truth. And,
'Cause I know.
I know people don't believe it, but for me, it's work. You go
Yeah.
out there. I don't drink. I don't indulge in some of the things that I see
Yeah.
sometimes. So to me, I just kind of stand back. I say hello. I meet the people,
I
but
know.
God directs us to the right people. Last night, I got to meet some people that had sobriety for 15 years.
Oh, you're kidding.
And in
Well,
some of these events, it's rare to even see that.
yeah, isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? Well, you know what? You're right because I remember I went to one event with you in Hollywood.
Yes.
And I had to sit and wait. In fact, the show started so late I didn't even get to see the show. But it was a little uncomfortable because
Yep.
I had to sit and kind of deal with some of the guests, and they were a little different than where I'm coming from. Younger crowd, more of a partier.
Mm.
And you and Jimmy were not playing. I mean, you were working. You'd come back and check on me, see how I was
Yeah.
doing. But no, you do work, and I not really. I didn't want to go and
Well, that discernment
yeah.
doesn't come from me anymore. It
Right.
really comes from God. God really directs me to the right people. When I start talking to them, I think when you love God so much, it oozes out of you, and they see that, and they ask me,
Well,
"Are you a Christian?" And I say,
they
"Oh,
can
yes."
tell.
They can just tell because you're different.
But you know what? Now, me knowing you for over 10 years and watching what God has done in your life, He has really taken that out of you. Because when I
And
first
thank
met
Him
you,
for it.
you really could talk the talk, brother. I mean, you were in there. I mean, you knew how to mix it up. You got in there. You went to those little clubs. I don't know what you were doing, but
Lolita,
he
I didn't know
burned
what
it
I was
out.
doing.
He burned it out, so he
really
put
did.
you back in. But now, what's the difference? Because
different
you were
mindset.
you were in with the group.
Yeah, I remember working with Mickey Rourke, and we used to party, and it was out of control. It was
Yeah.
debauchery. And now I go into these events, and some of these actors are friends of mine, and we sit and chat, and they're at a different level. I'm not where they're at, but to be able to see and discern the
Right.
people that are really just wanting fame, and then the people that really have a craft and an art to what they do, you can totally tell the difference once you take a step back.
But
when
you're
you're
not
in it,
impressed with it anymore.
yeah, no. It's,
Yeah, see, God
they
really,
work
he
just
took
as
that
hard
out
as
of you.
anybody else.
Yeah, they do. They do.
really do. Especially if to get up there, they have to work very diligent, very hard,
Right.
which is the same thing even with my fighters.
Hmm.
One of my fighters fought, Sam Liera, just fought this last Sunday.
Where
And
was the fight?
it was at the Citizens Bank Arena in Ontario.
Okay.
Place seats, I
Was
think.
it like a casino? It's a
No,
casino.
it's an arena. So
Oh,
it
arena.
seats, I think, 3,000 or
Wow.
5,000. Seats quite a bit.
Okay.
Not sure how many it seats, but
Yeah.
place was packed. And John Shea, who's one of the clients that I trained who's also a doctor who was on the show,
Yeah,
very strong
John, really
believer.
nice guy. Give him my regards and his
Yeah,
family.
Rejuve is his
I
company.
love it.
He
Yeah.
sponsors KKLA, the fish, and he came
Mhm.
on and sponsored my fighter, Sam Liera, and got to enjoy the event. And it was kind of difficult because we took a loss.
Mhm.
So to have one of my sponsors, one of my students that I train in MMA, and then have my fighter take a loss, it was disappointing.
Well, but the thing that which sets up what our show is going to be on today, because we don't have a guest, you said something to me that really rang true. I thought, man, I want to explore that. You said to me, we lost, but it was a good fight.
Yeah, it was a
And
good
I
loss.
thought, why good? Well, I thought, you know what? Because you said we don't have a guest. What do you think a topic? I said, well, disappointment. I want you to break that down. How do you have a good fight, but yet you lost? So that's going to help somebody out there today when we're
Well,
talking about disappointments.
I have to be completely candid with you.
Yeah.
If I do not have God in my life, the disappointments will eat me from the inside out.
Hmm.
It is because I believe in my Lord and I
Hmm.
believe that He has good for me if I seek Him. So going into the ring, we did everything we possibly could to prepare for the fight
Hmm.
properly. There was a couple of things that I would not that I did not like, which was the fighter was
I think you told me
a
that heavier,
heavy
right?
fighter. He
He
was
was
about
heavier.
195 pounds when we fought him,
Okay.
where my fighter fights at 170.
That's a big deal.
So we weighed in about 181 during weigh-ins.
Hmm.
He weighed 184.5. But by the next day, because we weigh in earlier now,
Hmm.
because the fighters now don't weigh in the night before. The time is too short. Some of these fighters were even dying. So now they weigh them in the morning because they cut so much weight. So they have time,
Mm.
more time to gain the weight back. So the fighter comes in at 195 pounds. We're fighting at 185, but after the weigh-ins, you can eat and go up in weight. So the fighter was very big. He was very tall,
Oh.
big black guy, 6'2", 6'3", 195 pounds. My fighter's, 5'11", 5'11", 170 pounds. We weighed in 181 pounds. So
Hmm.
it was a tough fight. But what makes it a good fight is that we prepared as best we could.
Hmm.
We went in there. We won the first round. We were fighting well. Second round, same thing. There was a couple of exchanges, so it was maybe a little more evened up.
Hmm.
But they fell in a position where the other fighter had a better position when they fell and ended up choking my fighter out.
Hmm.
But the reason I say it was a good fight is because we went in there and put it all on the map. My
Right.
fighter went in there, gave it everything he had, fought well. We stuck to our strategy, our game plan. He
Hmm.
executed, but we took a loss. So if you're out there listening and
Yeah,
viewing,
I
if you
like I
do
like that because
all
I'm going
the
to ask you later on, what did you glean from the situation? But we have a whole hour so we can just sit and talk like in our own little front room and
That's
with
right.
Richard here and just kind of kick it.
But when we prepare and we do
Yeah.
everything in our power to, it's like a test. You study as best you can for the test. You
Hmm.
always wish you had more time.
Right.
You always wish you can study more, but at a certain point, you just gotta give up, submit, and say, "I've studied the best I
I did
could,
what I could.
and now let's go take the test."
Hmm.
And if you get a bad grade, hey, go back. Maybe you should have studied differently. So I shaved my face. I had my mustache. I had my
Yeah, I
beard.
see.
I shaved everything off, cut my
Elizabeth said you look like Bruno Mars today.
hair. Well, thank you. Well,
She
now I got,
loves Bruno, so do I.
but we gotta reset. Like you said, what did I glean from it? What did I learn from it?
Yeah.
Now I gotta refocus on what's next. What's the
Yeah.
next task at hand? So
But-
constant change.
Well, when we come back to the looking at what could have changed in the fight itself, I'm sure you and Sam have talked it over. And well, you probably can't say all that because you're.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got to be
we-
quiet. Yeah, but you said a lot. I mean, that's really good. Which I thought would be a good thing to talk about disappointment because
What
I
was-
know I know I'm not the only one that's disappointed in a lot of stuff.
Well, it's a great topic. I called you the other night and said,
Mhm.
I haven't booked a guest, and you said, well, why don't we have a topic show? And I go, what would be a good topic? And you say disappointment. And right now in my life, there's a lot
You've
of
got a lot of
disappointment.
disappointments. Yeah, I know you do.
But we're also going to talk about how that transitions into joy,
There
because
you
we
go.
do have a lot of joy in our house here.
Yeah, we do.
We really do, even in this times of disappointment.
That's all I've lived in. But I know we got to have a whole show to go. Recapping
Last week's show,
Our
Leanne
girl,
Pendergrass,
our girl.
Pastor Leanne Pendergrass.
you know what I love about her? She is the ultimate of femininity to me. But she's, I think what makes a good male model for me is someone who is strong, leadership qualities, knows who he is, but yet he's not afraid to have a softer side.
Hmm.
You know,
I agree.
that's how I feel about Leanne. She's very feminine, very pink,
Yeah, she
very
loves pink.
girly, but she's knows the word. She's a leader. She's strong and she's solid. I think that's what makes a balanced person. What do you think?
I have to concur with you on that. How
Mhm.
amazing that you would say that. You see a woman in, especially a woman in leadership, a
Yeah.
woman in ministry.
Mhm.
A lot of times, and we talked about it on the show, they get pushed to the side.
Yeah.
But because of her personality, she's able to shine even when they're pushed to the side. God brings them up front
Yep.
because they have that charisma. They have that, like you said, that glow, that attraction, that they're confident, but yet they're firm on the word.
Yeah, they are. She's very firm. You know, you can't push her over. She's not one of these little shrinking violets, and neither was Leanne Benton, right? Was
Lee
it
Benton,
Lee,
yes.
Lee Benton also? And I haven't seen Reverend Long in a long time, but these women are like mentors to me because they're more ministers. They're pastoral. I'm not.
Mhm.
I'm an inspirational speaker, singer. That's not my calling, but
Mhm.
I love to see a well balanced person.
Right.
And I love that in a man too, which I respect in you and the men that I've worked with here, my sons and other men that I'm meeting. I love that quality of being strong, firm, having direction, but yet there's a side of you you're able to be vulnerable too.
Mhm.
That's what's so important. I think that's what makes us whole, complete people. So I just wanted to comment about that.
Yeah,
I don't
and
know why
I
I'm saying
agree.
that,
I mean, she started her My Gathering Place, the United
but
Nations on a TV network. She now has it at the Beverly Hills Hilton, where she's having a regular Bible study. All these things that she's doing, but people ask, "Oh, how did she become successful? What did she do?" She stood firm on the word.
heck yeah.
She had to have that character and integrity that we talk about so much, and it's not something that's given. It's something that
You have
is
to work
developed.
for it. It's developed. Absolutely.
And you mentioned in the beginning, how do you go to these events and be in the event but not of the
But not
event?
of it. That's the secret. You got to, because that's what Jesus was in the world, but he wasn't of it.
That's right.
You know, he wasn't so highly minded and removed from people. He was in the thick of things, but yet he was relatable. But he didn't have to participate and get involved in what all that was going on, but he was relatable.
And that's so important
Yeah.
when we walk this walk with Christ, that we are relatable.
Hmm.
That just because we're Christians, that we also don't place judgment on other people.
Heck no, because we're right there with him.
Yeah, I was just about
I'm
to say
right
that.
there in the thick. By the grace of God, there go I.
That's right.
You know, that's
Amen.
true. That is true. So Leanne was on, and she's got an event coming up, right?
She has an event now. It's going to be a regular event that I know you're going to want to attend,
Yeah,
and she's
yeah.
going to get in contact
I want to
with you.
attend and also put on an event with her too. That God
That'd
is
be
formulating it and seeing what He wants to do.
Well, we want to thank you out there for listening and viewing and being part of the joy that we have here in our house on latalklive.com. I want you to not catch us live. I want you to link with us on Facebook /Joy in My House. We have an Instagram page on Instagram /Joy in My House, and a Twitter page with any questions or comments. We have a great show for you today because Lolita and I we're going to discuss disappointment.
Yeah.
You're not going to want to miss. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joy in My House. I want you to stay tuned because we're going to come right back.
Hi. Hi, I'm Lady Jones, and I'm a certified relationship and divorce coach.
And I'm Debbie Carlin Boyle, and I'm a certified personal trainer, fitness, and wellness coach. Join us every Tuesday, 2 p.m. Pacific, for our new show, Del and Debbie's Mind, Body, Soul, and Everything in Between.
And we mean everything.
Join the conversation on things such as living a happy, healthy, joyous life,
Reinvention after divorce, parenting challenges, dating issues.
thrive with beauty and grace, and yes, we're even gonna talk sex.
Starting September, join us Tuesdays, 2 p.m. Pacific, for Del and Debbie's Mind, Body, Soul, and become part of the discussion exclusively on latalklive.com.
You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, and now live on Facebook, or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure.
This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Welcome back, back, ladies and gentlemen, to Joy in My House, inspirational reality show with a touch of recovery. I'm joined here by author of Shaped by the Master's Hand, Lolita
And
Robinson.
I have some other books coming out. The Leaves Turn Brown and Reacquainted. So I have two more books
Working on
coming
some new
out. Yes, I
projects.
am. Two new
Amen.
songs. So this is gonna be the year to kick it off.
There you go. I wanted to thank everybody for being a part of the joy that we have in our house here. Know that you can link up with us on Joy in My House on Facebook. And if you like the page, you receive up-to-date lineups of guests and information. You can also follow us on Instagram /Joy in My House and Twitter.com /Joy in My House. And you can tweet us with any questions or comments for ourselves or for our guests. But today we have no guests. Today we're going to be discussing a topic that we're actually all dealing with, probably.
Yes, we are. But
I know that
before
I
we
am.
go, I want to say hi to my cousin in Phoenix, Arizona, Denise Jones. I love you, sister.
Denise, yes.
She is so. Did
Yeah,
she contact
we
you?
contact. We
Denise
always-
is okay. Denise, you are the girl. Okay, you are the fan above fans, and we want to tell you we love you and thank you so much for your faithfulness. And hey, see, I didn't know she. You
Yeah,
know.
she contacts me.
Oh, okay, cool. So go ahead now.
Well, we wanted to talk about disappointment. Our topic is disappointment, and last week my fighter fought.
Mhm.
We prepared very diligently for this fight. The fighter was much heavier.
Mhm.
Like to us, it was a David and Goliath kind of story. The fighter was
But
much heavier.
Do you think
much
it was
bigger.
okay? Should you have taken that fight? I mean,
That is a great question.
in
I say no.
hindsight, okay.
I say no,
All right.
but these fighters are driven, and you can't put out the fire that they have.
Okay.
Sometimes you
I
got to
like
let
that.
them run amok a little bit. I mean, there's got to be a certain level of space that you give them, a little leeway.
Okay.
So when he wanted to take this fight, I disagreed.
Mhm.
I think 185-pound fight, we don't fight at that weight. That's not our stage.
Mhm.
But
But you
they're
had
fighters.
to, like a parent, you had to kind of like, okay, this is what you want to do. You have to give him a little leadway.
Yeah, so we take the fight, and I do everything to prepare him. I do everything to
Mhm.
in management to get him ready, that he doesn't have to think about the finances, doesn't have to think about the training camp, just can get in there and do his job.
Mhm.
But when you take a loss and you know that it wasn't the best decision,
Mhm.
that disappointment is even bigger,
Right.
because maybe you shouldn't have done that. Same thing can happen in a financial decision.
Mhm.
Oh, I don't really need a car, but I want a car.
Mhm.
So you go and purchase this car that is an extra financial burden that you didn't need, and then something happens.
Is that experience?
No,
Experience
it was just
talking?
an example. You take on a financial burden that's not
Mhm.
needed, and then you're disappointed. Oh, why did I
Right.
make that decision? I just chose finances because I know right now financially a lot of people are hurting too.
Oh boy.
So they're
yeah.
disappointed in the decisions they're making, especially with the home losses.
Yeah.
A lot of these people bought homes with negative amortization, where
Mhm.
the interest goes to the back. They owe more now than the house is worth. Disappointment.
Right.
In relationships, you chose to date somebody that you knew wasn't good for you, and you continue on this relationship, and then you're disappointed that it didn't work out
Mhm.
when you saw the red flags but continue to pursue the relationship.
Right.
Another disappointment. So I know that there's people out there listening and viewing, and for myself as well, the disappointment in life is inevitable.
Right. It is.
We're going to talk a little bit about also our stories, our lives,
Mhm.
our testimonies, because I come from a family that was very grounded. My father's a physics professor, came to this country with 9 brothers and sisters. I mean, he
Well, you
shined
haven't really
shoes.
told a whole lot of your story. You told bits and pieces. I've been a
Yeah.
little bit more open with mine, but maybe now is the time,
I think so.
Because I didn't know your father had 9 brothers and sisters.
9 brothers and sisters came from Mexico. My grandfather was a foreman at an iron milling company, and he was able to provide for all of the family.
Wow.
Granted, the men were young and they had to go work. My father, at 12 years old, was shining shoes. He was a spit boy, they used to call him. Well, he used to shine shoes for 15 cents in Alvera Street right here in Los Angeles. He was an amazing young man. He was very motivated.
And where did he meet your mother? I never,
They met at a nightclub out here in Los Angeles.
Oh,
and when my dad saw
okay.
my mom, he said, I saw the
She's
back of her
sharp.
hair.
She's
Yeah, my
sharp.
mom.
She's sharp now.
And my dad says she was a looker.
Yeah.
She wanted everybody. She had everybody's attention. So my dad was captivated. And my mom tells me, man, your dad was so poor. He had
Wow.
holes in the soles of his shoes. He had cardboard inside the soles of his shoes.
Okay.
And it's interesting. So
So
my
what
mom-
was the attraction? She must have seen something.
okay,
in
well, my
him.
mom
Yeah.
is pretentious. She's
You said I did not.
I said
You're
it.
gonna get hurt.
But she's also very transparent. So there,
Yeah,
it comes with.
she is. I
she's-
love her.
She is real.
Yes, I do.
She is not a liar, a cheater,
No,
dishonest.
and she will tell you.
She will tell you if
straight
you
up.
ask her. She will tell you, which I don't mind. People who are real.
Yeah,
You know what you
yeah,
get.
you do.
She doesn't gossip. She doesn't do anything. But if you
And
ask her
she will
something, she'll tell you,
Yeah.
which I respect. But she likes to take care of herself. I think she's always been that type of person that had a
Is
lot
she
of pride.
from Mexico? Is your mother?
My mother's Mexican.
Okay.
Met her
Was
on
she
night-
born in Mexico? Or?
Yes, both
okay.
my mother and my father.
Okay.
She came also with like 11 brothers and sisters.
Wow. Okay.
She became a hairstylist. She didn't even speak the language. Opened up her own hairstyling salon in Los Angeles.
People
Again,
need to hear this. You know.
motivated.
I think that's some of the fight that's going on, and I don't want to get political here at all, but I think the message that we're trying to get out there is that I think both parties can come together. I think Democrats and Republicans to me are like mother and fathers. They both have good things to say.
Mhm.
One is more, empathetic in terms of giving, people chances, and the others, like fathers, are like, look, you got to
This
get in there.
business.
You need to take care of business, and so I think they can come together. And I think what you're saying is that even with hard times,
Mhm.
your mother and father, they worked, and
They
that's
really
the
did.
message we're trying to get out there to people.
My mother, what she saw in my father was that
Mhm.
he was a student. He already had his bachelor's and was going for his master's in physics.
Oh wow,
So my father was an educated man, but again, a
very
student.
poor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He really studied, and he was disciplined and structured. Coming from a good family like that loved me,
Hmm.
even though both my parents work at home, I think they were emotionally unavailable for most of my life because they were working
Yeah,
class.
they weren't like my mother and them. They weren't thinking. That generation wasn't thinking about feelings.
Yeah, no.
I mean they look at us like we're nuts. They were
No.
surviving.
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
they created a good middle class home
They
for me.
sure did.
But for some reason, I wanted more. I wanted to grow up. I guess I saw my parents and wanted what they had without having to do the work.
Okay.
So I wanted to go out and live this adult life when I wasn't an adult. And it came with a lot of disappointments. I met the mother of my two oldest children at a very young age. It was 17. She was 26. She was 9 years my senior.
Mhm.
We started dating. I used to carry my father's physics books inside my car
To what?
to tell her that I was going to college
God.
when I was in high
I
school.
told you used to talk the talk, brother. You you talk the talk.
So
okay.
it was, I completely lied to her till I was 24. And it was just, I wanted to be somebody I wasn't.
Mhm.
And even that in itself was
So you were
disappointing.
disappointed in you
I was disappointed in me.
at 17?
Yeah, at 17, I wanted to be further along than I was.
Yeah.
I was not in reality.
Mm-hmm.
So when she got pregnant a couple months into the relationship and she found out my age, she was devastated. She actually went and apologized to my parents, saying that he didn't. And she's this woman, the mother of my kids, Lucy. She's just an amazing woman. She's
Yeah.
a good person.
Really?
Never any malice. Had a lot of grace for me, even after finding out my age. We had a second child, but I was still out of control.
Right.
Why? Because I was still disappointed. So I dealt with my
So do
disappointment.
you think because of your mother and father had provided the outside external things, but inside you had a lot of holes? You
Yep.
think that's what was going on?
I
Well,
think
and then
so.
plus, let's face it, 17. I mean, that's kind of early to. That's just part of being 17.
No, I agree, but I think I
Yeah.
could have been a little, I don't want to say smarter, but just a
Right.
little more submissive to going to high school. I went to a college preparatory school called St. John Bosco out here in Bellflower. Amazing school, Nomar Garcia Parra. Graduated from there. I was a great athlete. I was wrestling. It just had a lot of promise.
Mhm.
My mother said I should have been a trial attorney. You would have been great.
You would be. That's the truth. So you're disappointed in the fact that you didn't take advantage
Exactly.
of the educational opportunities that could have presented themselves to you.
And then what did I do? I squandered them. Got pregnant early, dropped out, started teaching martial arts, and thought that was because I got so much validation being
Yeah.
a martial arts instructor,
Yeah.
being the master, so on and so forth. You get this fulfillment. I think I would take it as I can make an analogy of women who look really good
Mhm.
and they get their validation by looking good and getting the attention. So then they fill up their cup.
Right.
It's actually very superficial and very
Not a whole lot going on in the
right.
inside. Right.
But that's I think what was going on with me. I was the master, so
Mm-hmm.
I ruled. So it made me it validated me. But at the end, was I living out these principles and morals that I was teaching?
Mm-hmm.
No. Nighttime came, I was partying, I was using, I was sleeping around. everything opposite of what I was teaching.
Mhm.
That's hypocrisy.
Mhm.
And again, a disappointment in myself because I didn't have control.
Mhm.
So I would love to ask you, Lolita, talk about some of your disappointments through your story because you have a very powerful testimony.
You know, I was thinking about that today because I knew you were going to ask me. And um, first of all, we say we're disappointed in ourselves. I'm disappointed in a lot of things, but to be honest, I did what I knew what to do because I didn't have the foundation.
Mhm.
My mother was very young when she had me. She didn't have the foundation. Her father was an alcoholic. My grandmother was self-taught, a probation officer. She found her escape, I think, maybe like your father, through education.
Mm.
Very intellectual woman, and so she was not there emotionally for her children. The oldest children took care of the youngest,
Wow,
and
so
so now
kids
you know
raising
how
kids.
kids raising kids. So um, she didn't have it, so my mother didn't have it to give to me. But like your family, they provided for me. I came up with the best of schools. I went to Beverly Hills High School. My father is he's my stepdad, but he's my dad. Yeah, he's a professor at UCLA, really high up there, and I'm not going to say who he is. But so I did not come from a poor background. I did not come from on the streets or any of that stuff. I came from a middle class, upper middle class family.
Mhm.
Everything on the outside was intact, but the emotionally we were bankrupt. There was nothing given. Excuse me. I raised myself emotionally. I
Wow.
went through all of my hurts and all my pains alone because my family thought, well, if you have food on the table, you're going to a good school,
You have clothes on your
you
back.
clothes on your back. That's all there is, and that wasn't all there was.
Mhm.
So I wish that, like you at Beverly Hills High School, had I had taken advantage of the opportunities. I wish I had gotten involved with my writing because I'm writing now a lot. I love it.
Mhm.
Singing was always pretty. You know, you have talents that are obvious.
Right.
Singing was always obvious. I was singing since I was a little baby. And so that was an obvious talent, but the writing was something that was a hidden talent that would come out years later.
Wow.
I wish I had gotten into journalism. I wish I had taken some writing classes.
Mhm.
But I'm giving myself a break today. I didn't know.
Mhm.
I didn't know. But now some of my other disappointments, some of my disappointments came in how Jesus was sold to me.
Wow, how interesting.
Yes.
How he was sold
How
to
he
you.
was sold to me. And I think a lot of people are saying that in Celebrate Recovery. I love Bishop T.D. Jakes. I mean, he just talks about that all the time. But when I was sold Christ, I was told when you come to Jesus, all your problems will pass away. You'll have peace. You know, God will bring you the right mate. God will do all these things. All you have to do is kind of like sign on the dotted line.
Mhm.
So I thought, our pastor today, Jeff Timberland, was talking about the story of Joseph. We've been reading our Bible, our story, which is they kind of make it a little easier to read, go all the way through the Bible. They make it simpler and kind of make the story shorter, but the meat of it is there.
Mhm.
And he was talking about how we, in the Western world, we believe these formulas. If I do this, if I go to school, if I get a good degree,
Mhm.
then I'm going to meet the right wife, or I'm going to meet the right husband. I'm going to get the right job. I'm going to get the right house. I'm going to have the right amount of kids. I'm going to go on vacation. Formulas.
Mhm.
And we were doing that in Christianity too. You know, your harvest is coming. You know, your seed faith. You do this, and God is going to bring you this big, amazing ministry, this harvest. And that's not how He worked at all.
Wow. That's a big disappointment.
That's a huge disappointment because God is not a formula.
That's right.
And His ways are not our ways, and His thoughts are not our thoughts. And the way He took my life was totally, I mean, I don't even recognize what my life is compared to what my idea of what my life was going to be.
Wow.
But yet, in the midst of it, God had a plan. He had a plan to bring about a lot of emotional healing and a lot of recovery, which we'll get into later, to help me and my sons to break generational curses and patterns. JT's been talking about that there's the upper story of God, and then there's the story of where we live. See, God works in the heavenlies, in the spiritual realm. We don't see the picture of what He's doing. We can only see it from down here. I just love what JT's been saying. And so what I was looking at down here had nothing to do with what He was doing, but God's been looking at a big picture. He's looking at generations down. He's looking at patterns that, because of me and my mother's lives, my mother, by leaving Chicago and marrying my father, we got to find Jesus Christ where we wouldn't have found him where we were.
Wow.
Okay.
Mhm.
And the Lord led me even further into recovery. So we found Christ in a spiritual sense because we came out of the occult. We were into white witchcraft. We were into um, reading, going to ESP, doing all this stuff that's very dangerous that opens up the doors to other kind of spirits that come in, you know. But God broke that and brought us into a personal relationship with Him. But then He took me and took me into the world of recovery, of where He started doing the emotional, psychological healing that needed to be done, that continues to be done, that I was able to impart to my sons and to you or my other son. And then also now I'm mentoring women, church, sponsoring women in program, and now I'm raising my niece. So he had a whole bigger program than me being a star, you know, and going to Hollywood and becoming the next whoever. He had a whole different plan. So there was a lot of disappointment in what God wanted and what I wanted.
Well, let's talk about that because disappointment, it's a noun that means a feeling of sadness
Yeah.
or displeasure caused by the non-fulfillment of one's hopes and expectations.
Yes. Wow.
And
Say
I
that
think-
again.
Yeah, this is great. Disappointment is a noun.
Yeah.
It is a feeling of sadness and displeasure caused by a non-fulfillment of one's hopes and expectations.
And
Those unrealistic hopes that
what were
we
yours?
have.
What does your life look like?
Well, you know what? I think once the mother, Lucy, the mother of my first children, got pregnant for the second time, I thought, okay, I'm hardworking. I'm going to continue developing a martial arts academy, and I will then, have this family life, like you said, my kids, her. But then I'll also have my little nightlife where I'll party and do whatever I want, and everything will be okay. So the disappointment came when that didn't work.
Well, I remember when I met you, the disappointment was that you really wanted to marry Lucy at this point.
At
At this point,
yeah.
you were kind of coming out of that and you really wanted her, and she was like,
Mm-mm.
uh-uh.
Well, it was my codependency. It's how interesting that
Mhm.
I wanted to fix it. I wanted to fix all the cheating, lying, drinking, using, womanizing, all that by marrying her. How abstract is that for me to even think that that was the secret to fix it? The truth is, I didn't know Lucy. I was never really there emotionally. I wasn't grown myself to know
Right.
myself, let alone
Right.
to be able to give something I didn't have, which was
Right.
my honesty, my
Well, yourself, personhood. You
Yeah.
didn't have a personhood.
I
at all.
didn't.
You had nothing to bring to the table.
And we talked about that the other day. The growth stopped right about 15 for me.
Yeah, it does.
I was still a little 15-year-old kid.
People don't
trying to
understand
be
that. You need to
grown.
say that as an addiction. I know most people know it now, but because we run a recovery circle, so. But we're talking to people out there that don't know. When you start drinking and using, at what age, what happens? Because
Yeah, your growth gets stunted.
you get emotionally stumped there.
Yep. And that's where I grew up to about 14, 15, and I acted the same way when I was 14, 15 than I did when I was 17, 18, 19, 20. It wasn't until I came to recovery, and that's our next segue is when we came to recovery. We came to recovery.
But going back to disappointment though, it was a disappointment though because I was able to pray with you and walk with you during that time when Lucy was saying no.
Mm-hmm.
That was a huge disappointment.
Oh, yeah.
But look how God used it.
Whew. I don't want
Okay.
to say this, but I remember praying to God and saying,
Mhm.
God always gave me everything I asked for. If I got down on my knees and I got in front of that cross and I said, God, give me another weekend with Lucy. Out of the blue, Lucy would call me and she's like, what are you doing? I go, hey, let's go hang out. Let's go away for the weekend. Sure enough, come Monday, I'd be back on my knees crying. Until it wasn't until
That's so true. I don't.
it wasn't until I came to God and I said, God,
This ain't working.
I want your will to be done, not
Yeah.
me. If she's meant to be in my life, keep her in.
Right.
If she's not, take her out. Well, guess what? He took her out. And I had to be okay with that.
But you grew in that. What if he had to give same thing with me? He stopped all that, and I cried. And I'm still crying lately. The last couple of weeks, I've been doing a lot of crying because he's breaking me in other ways.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, really. I thought I was broken 2 years ago when I fell. You mean there's more of God? But look at what happened. If he had given you that, you
Right.
wouldn't have developed into this man that you're developing in.
I agree. And all my relationships since then have gotten exponentially better.
Yeah.
The women that have come into my life after that, the mother of Zaylee, my youngest daughter, Zen. Amazing woman. She loved me when I was at my worst, and I
Yeah.
will always appreciate her.
She sure did.
And then just even when I sobered up, my first sober relationship, I dated this woman, and she was gorgeous, beautiful, and she loved me too. She just had some of her issues that she had to deal with. I have a lot of beautiful memories with her. She was a good person. My last girlfriend, amazing woman of God. God has just kind of shown me that He will give me my heart's desires,
But he's
but it's a
working in you,
process.
and he's working in you.
Yeah, he has to.
That's when you just said that. Thank you. My disappointment is I've met some really nice men that I didn't give a chance. I have a couple of men in my heart that I wish I could go back and say I'm sorry because I didn't have what it. I'm disappointed that I didn't have what it took
Right.
to be in a healthy relationship and to recognize a healthy man and a man who really loved me as opposed to going after the ones who didn't.
Right.
Because I had a father who was emotionally abusive and physically and sexually abusive. So it wasn't normal for me to be with somebody who was nice or who was available or who was there. I was always chasing the one who was not, hoping to fix him, helping him to see how wonderful I am and waiting for him to see this wonderful woman. It's funny, but it's not. It took me 25 years of that. So I'm so disappointed that I didn't have what it took to be open to the right kind of man and to be open to a man who wants to be there. I'm afraid of intimacy. I didn't know that.
Wow.
Because when these men that really liked me and were good to me, I felt sick. I felt like repulsed. I felt like I couldn't get rid of them fast enough. It was like, get away. But yet the ones that were running, see, we think that's cute. You know, hard to get. That's cute when you're 16.
Right.
But when you're 20, 30, 40, 50, and I'm stopping there, it's an issue.
It is. It's a red flag.
That's not a good thing. If you are running when somebody wants to love you and you want only stuff that's negative, that's not good. 16, that's cute.
Right.
What do you say?
Well, I have to agree with you. Having all these disappointments, I fell flat on my face. I couldn't control or manipulate
You
enough.
couldn't
Like
be
I
with
said,
these girls, even if you wanted to.
even if I wanted to, but even my manipulation, hey, marry me, Lucy, marry me. No way, she thought, and she was a little more. She was older, so she knew this is not gonna work.
Zen too?
And Zen too. Now
Yeah.
I just come out of the Lucy relationship right into my
Yeah.
next girlfriend Zen, and then
Right.
she was pregnant with my daughter.
Right.
It was just a mess. So that is where I had to say what I'm doing is not working, and that's when I
Right.
came to recovery.
Mm-hmm.
We met Kathy Taylor, the state rep for Celebrate Recovery out here in the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Told her about you. I was already repping you. I told her there's an amazing woman. She has a powerful testimony, and she's a performing artist. You should have her come and speak at your event. She said, of course, sounds amazing. Put that over to the side and said, how you're doing? And I said, I'm doing great.
Oh,
She's
yeah,
like,
you were.
let me tell you about me. And she told me about she gave me her testimony. And
Yeah.
I thought this,
The 4 marriages. Yeah.
Yeah,
We're not
the
telling anything.
marriages.
She's told her,
yeah,
her
the
story.
marriages, the drug abuse and all this. And I'm like,
Well,
your
she wasn't. I
leadership.
don't think I think she got more into alcohol.
It was alcohol and marijuana.
Oh, it was? Okay.
So she was
Yeah,
telling
you ought
me.
to know. I mean, that's your other mother.
And she's
Yeah.
telling me this, and I'm sitting in her office thinking, man, this lady is telling me her dirt, but she has such peace.
Yeah.
I go, I want that. I want to be able to let go
Yeah.
of the shame of my past,
Right.
let go of my disappointments.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, you could. There's a program called Celebrate Recovery.
Mm-hmm.
Look into it.
Mm-hmm.
You went and spoke. You advised me, suggested to me as my accountability partner
Mm-hmm.
to attend this, change my life. Slowly, a process. The
Mhm.
beginning was with you leading me to Christ. The next step was me submitting to a higher power, which was Jesus in my 12-step Christian
Yeah,
program.
because you came from the Catholic
Mhm.
aspect of it, which is very important because we have Catholics, and there's someone in my life who's Catholic who I care for very deeply. So it doesn't mean that Catholics know the Lord,
Mhm.
but how would you? It's a different.
It's just different.
Yeah, how
the
did you find-
intimate relationship
Right.
with Christ is what Christianity brought to me.
Right.
It brought me that one-on-one relationship where I can talk to him directly.
Mhm.
Where Catholicism, if you confess, you go through a priest, you pray to Mother Mary, you pray to the saints.
Mhm.
Christianity says, you pray only to Jesus.
Mhm.
And I like that. It's such loyalty. I come from a martial arts background. My master is very strict.
Mhm.
I am still loyal to him regardless of our falling out or this. He will always be my master.
Right.
He loved me like a son. He treated me like a son. He mentored me like a son.
Mm-hmm.
So I value that moment in time.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else, hey, you got to forgive. Or I forgive. Not
Mhm.
that you have to. I have to forgive. So the structure and the loyalty to one God allows me to just rely on Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to rely on myself. I don't have to rely on my business partners. I don't have to rely on my fighters. I don't have to rely on my clients,
Mm-hmm.
which allows me not to manipulate.
Mm-hmm.
God, I'm broken. I'm hurt. I'm disappointed.
So that's what God did for you in terms of, because you still go to Catholic church. I still go. I was raised Catholic. I there's just something about being in a Catholic church.
Exactly.
Just the tradition.
The
Just
tradition
a
is,
sense
I
of,
like the tradition.
just such a sense of authority and of awe, something very special.
Mhm.
So, but
But my
coming to Christ,
relationship-
coming to Christ was more of a personal relationship that you can have with Him. You can go see the priest, but you can go straight to Christ too.
Mhm.
You can go to Him.
And that direct line is what I need. I
Mhm.
need God to touch my broken heart, to mend it, to walk and hold my hand through some of the challenges, some of the
Mhm.
disappointments, through all that. So Celebrate Recovery taught me to develop these tools to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
to deal with my disappointment in a different way, without acting out, without going to parties, to meet
Mhm.
people, without drinking, without using, without having to be somebody I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
It allowed me to just rely on Him and be okay with who I really am.
Mm-hmm.
So when the disappointments come, I was able to deal with them differently, because dealing with disappointment is key.
Mm-hmm.
We all have them. How do you deal with disappointment?
Well, okay, I'm kind of going back. We have time. I'm kind of going back into why I came to recovery, because I came in through the secular recovery, and I do talk about Overcomers Anonymous was there before Celebrate, but it was the pioneer, and God wanted to explode using John Baker. I came to recovery because God supernaturally woke me up one night and told me in an audible voice at 4 o'clock in the morning that it was alcoholism in my family that was causing this. And I had alcoholism. Who's an alcoholic? To me, every drinking was just normal. Everybody drank. I mean, every social event. But I was suicidal. I did not want to live. And the
Wow.
only thing that kept me from taking my life was that my two young sons, now I have three, well, four, including you. If I died, where would they go? Because my mother was still drinking, and so was my husband. And I thought, if I can't deal with this, then that's not fair for me to check out, because they would go to between them. So I stayed around for them, and then I stayed in there for me. So that's how I got, I mean, it was like God was showing me that you have come up a generation and generation of alcoholics, of people who are very creative, bright people.
They're very charismatic.
Oh man, I love you guys. I mean, but there's the ism aspect of it. There's
That's right.
the unavailability. There's the afraid of being closed off, not vulnerable. You have all these things going, and when you're raised in a system like that, you cannot just go and be in an open, healthy environment and have a good relationship because of having all these things going.
Mhm.
So that's when God got me into recovery. And plus, not only that, but 17 years, 30 years, nonstop. I was in therapy for nonstop, no less than 25 years.
Wow.
So mine was so the whole thing of what I want to talk to people about, and what I minister to a lot of people, is the in between.
Mhm.
I minister to people not to be afraid to get off the sideline, to get out of the game
Mhm.
when God benches you,
That's
and
good
you
one.
sit on the sidelines, not to fear that season, because that's where He's had me for the last 31 years. He took me out of commission.
Because you even had contracts with Wilhelmina.
I had all kinds of stuff
modeling
going on.
contracts.
Yes, I did.
You were singing for Coca-Cola. You traveled.
I was doing all kinds of stuff, and He called me out of the business, and to sit there and raise my sons, and to be in therapy all these years so that He could do that reparative work. And still, people, even in recovery, don't want to do it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, they
I
want to
don't
do
wanna
those
do it
12
either.
steps. They want to
Yeah.
have a sponsor, but they don't really want to get underneath there and see, okay, what led to all of this kind of
Yep.
stuff.
And that's where I'm at right now, where I went opportunity had talk with Spiro, who's one of the Celebrate Recovery leaders, one of
Love
my
him.
accountability partners.
Yeah, he's always here.
He's doing some amazing things right now with an organization that he came and shared on. So I went and visited Kathy before I went and visited him out in Long Beach and sat down with her, and she, we talked about, and Spiro mentioned it on the show as well a couple weeks ago, where there's a new Celebrate Recovery steps 13 through 24 where you dig a
Whoa.
little deeper, and it'll be something I'll
Hey.
be attending once that program starts.
Whoa, so they're going well.
They're going deeper.
There you go. You
And
got
you
to.
you just said that. You
got
have
to.
to.
You have to.
You have to. And why do you want to stunt
And he
my
took me
growth
all
now?
the way back through my childhood and dreams. He took me through every stage.
Wow.
Took me through elementary school, through high school, through college, through every relationship. He took me through and addressed every single one of those issues. How do I deal with disappointment today? I cry.
There you go.
I cry. I journal. I pray. I call my accountability
There you go.
partners, and I face it. I am very disappointed in some of the, when he took my husband passed away, and when my brother passed away, that just knocked me for a loop. Okay, I waited 25 years for God to heal my marriage. I didn't date anybody. I didn't want anybody. I wanted my marriage healed. And I just knew God was going to heal it. God told me I'm going to heal him. He told me some stuff that he was disappointed in, but that he was going to tell. Well, the healing was that he was going to be, because I was able to lead him back to Christ
Wow.
about 2 or 3 days before he passed away.
Wow.
Okay. And we had God gave us 2 months together. That was just really beautiful healing. I got to find out from other people how much he really did love me. But it wasn't God's will for us to be married. You even told me that he told you he still loved me.
You told me at a party. I never forgot.
That blessed me so much when you told me that. So dealing with that disappointment, I feel it. I admit it. Being a Christian is the way of the cross.
Ooh.
It means death.
Yep.
And I love T.D. Jakes says, you guys need to get it. The symbolism for Christianity is a cross. It is not all this. Yeah, there are some blessings that come. There are. And God does open the doors and does magnificent things. But I bet you if Joyce Meyer was here and if Joel Osteen was here, and T.D. Jakes tells it, and some of the other heavy hitters that we're all aspiring to be.
Yeah, Jensen Franklin.
I bet if they sat and talked about the price
Woo.
of what it takes to be where they're being, I bet they've had a lot of tears.
Yep. A lot of disappointments, I bet.
So that's how I deal with my disappointment. I admit it. I have fights with God. I feel like sometimes like a horse. That I feel like he's trying to put a bridle on me and ride me, and I'm in my stall and I'm kicking my back legs and I'm.
Yeah.
I can feel it. I can feel it, but I can admit it today and tell people, listen, this is no joke.
Yeah.
I am not happy all the time, but I do have joy. But I work through it.
And that's big.
How do you deal with your
same
disappointment?
thing. That admitting, that coming to the realization and
Yes.
being in reality as opposed to my fantasy. Oh, I want to do this. I want to go here. I want to do these things.
Yeah.
That's just fantasy or entertainment. That's not the reality. So having to first get out of my denial and say,
Yeah, how do you deal with it?
like you said, you have to face it. You
Yeah.
first say, you know what? I have a problem. I am not perfect. And it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to be sad.
Right.
It's okay to be disappointed. It's okay to be depressed. Now,
Did
I
you
can't
think your
act
life
on
would
it.
look different now? Did you think it would be different? Did you think you would be married with a big house now?
I thought I'd be retired right now. I'd have my Malibu beach house, my Victoria's Secret model, and my red Ferrari in my garage. And I would
I'm
say
not
that in
laughing,
my
but
testimony.
that's true. But it's
But
true,
it's
right?
true. That's what I thought. I thought, yeah, of course I'm going to make it. What was I thinking? I didn't work for it. I didn't sacrifice
But
anything
even if
for
you
it.
did work for it, is that the ultimate dream?
Exactly. And even if I did, would that really fulfill me?
You're around people
No.
who have. Are you not around people
Yeah,
who
all the
have
time.
this?
And I have some level of success in that sense. My girlfriends, like I said, have been beautiful, have been good women.
You drive a nice.
I drive a decent car.
It ain't decent. It's a black Mercedes. What you talking about, darling? I drive a decent car. It's nice. It's a black Versa, Nissan Versa.
But
That's decent.
Well,
but
here's the thing.
Versa, Nissan, look, I love it. So I'm not putting it down, but it's not a Mercedes.
But here's the thing. Even my black Mercedes, I have this beautiful car. I have 80,000 miles already on it. The
Wow.
car's like a 4-year-old car already
Wow.
because I drive so much to do what I do.
Right.
So it comes with a sacrifice. It comes with, you know what? It's not all cracked up as people make it seem.
Yes.
So those disappointments, I just have to say, you know what? It doesn't have to be perfect. Am I content? Do I have that peace in my heart even when I do things? Yes. Yesterday I went to this event. Almost felt like it was a waste of my time. What am I doing here? Why am I here?
And everybody probably had what you're talking about, Malibu.
Yeah.
Weren't you at Mulholland?
I was at Mulholland Drive, Beverly Hills, beautiful mansion,
You know,
beautiful people.
Yep.
But then I look back and I say, you know, for whatever God has me here, I got to meet some amazing people. Got to branch off with the gentleman, Jamie Lim. He's one of the photographers for a lot of the modeling companies that I know that are friends of mine. And he's like, you know, let's talk. I want to put you in my magazine. I know you. And I'm like, really? Thank you. I don't want to go in his magazine, but just having that.
But you in the house can go in this magazine.
That's what I'm
Hey.
saying. You know, so look how amazing God just kind of, the only person that I met.
Bringing people without you even trying to maneuver
Exactly.
anymore. Right.
I don't have to go and say, I need to talk to that actor. I need to talk to that girl. You know what? No.
Mm-hmm.
God will do what he wants to do in his way as long as I'm in reality,
Mm-hmm.
in him. With my disappointments, how do I deal with it? I face them. I say, you know what? I got a ticket. Pay the ticket.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a lot of money, but I made a mistake. Pay the fine
Mm-hmm.
and get on with my life.
Mm-hmm.
And deal with it. You know, I'm $500 less or whatever a ticket would cost.
Yeah.
And you say, let me face it now.
Mm-hmm.
And then it doesn't fester or create that resentment, and then you're able to move on. Forgiveness is very difficult, especially for me. I'm very prideful.
Mm-hmm.
So forgiving, you know, my exes and saying, you know what? But I do now. I'm at that point where I forgive them because it's too much disappointment on me.
Yeah, and right now you kind of having like a break in your relationship. You don't know what the future
Yeah,
may
I'm in
hold, but
transition. So
right now you're kind of like disappointed that things are taking the route that they're taking.
right.
You
And that
know?
disappointment, how do I deal with it? You know what? I stay grounded.
Mm-hmm.
I show up to my Celebrate Recovery programs. I
And
pray.
you're going to go back into another.
And I'm starting my new
study,
step
right?
study. So
Yeah.
that's how I deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to take a quick commercial break because when we come back, we're going to talk about how God then blesses us, how he gives us that
Yeah.
favor and that peace through these challenging and
He does.
disappointing times. You're not going to want to miss. This is Joy in My House. I want you to stay tuned. We're going to come right back.
Joy in my house, joy in my house, joy. I got joy.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Hi, I'm Ro Williams, and I would like to invite you to join GospelRhythms.com every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our show, GospelRhythms.com Talk Live Radio. Join us as we celebrate Christians around the world in all genres of entertainment, as well as highlight interest stories on men and women who are making a difference and impacting their community. So don't forget to tune in to GospelRhythms.com Talk Live Radio, exclusively on LATalkLive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes under R&B or watch us live on Ustream TV. We are reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is GospelRhythms.com Talk Live Radio on LATalkLive.com. We're more than just talk. We're heaven's party here on earth.
I got joy.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Join My House, inspirational reality show with a touch of recovery. A reality show where nothing is left unsaid.
And no one is insignificant who shares.
I'm here with recording artist and my co-host, Lolita Robinson.
I'm very glad to be here. I don't feel like one. It's been so long since God's taken me out, but by faith, I'm a recording artist.
Well, we're going to work on that,
There
right?
you go.
There
Yeah,
we
I'm
go.
going
We have a
back
couple
in.
singles coming out.
I'm working on it, yeah.
Well, before we left for the commercial break, we talked about disappointment, and we were talking about how recovery has helped dealing with our disappointment. Now, what are some of the benefits of dealing with our disappointments in a
Yeah.
positive way, or dealing with them? I don't want to say the right way because we don't.
Well, I think there is
there's a wrong way.
a healthy way and an unhealthy
There
way.
you go.
Yeah.
Great way to put
unhealthy,
it.
not dealing with it is what a lot of people are doing, which I wish I could get in a car and go to Vegas and party down, but
Yeah.
you know.
So, what would be the benefits of dealing with it in a healthy way? Your disappointments.
I tell you what, and like I've laughed before and said, when I have these powwows with the Lord and I cry and you promised me this and you're not giving me my heart's desires and blah, 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 I get to a point of acceptance and surrender. And then the peace comes. And then I realized, Lord, you know way better than I do.
There you go.
See, you can see the beginning from the end. You see the whole picture, like I said before.
Mhm.
You know, like our pastor was saying, God has a bigger picture. He sees a bigger perspective than what I'm seeing down here. So when I get to a point of where I'm a little child in His arms, and come to Him as a child and go, Daddy, I don't understand, which I'm teaching my niece, because she's been telling me everything's no. Everything is no. All the you adults, I hate adults. No, God is no, no, no. I am trying to tell her that I'm disappointed too, but that I trust that He knows better than what I know.
There you go.
And I believe that because my life is really beautiful.
I concur with
It's
you
not,
on that.
you know, I've got amazing, amazing sons. There is my relationship, my friendships. I have a really, really lovely life.
Yeah. You said a mouthful.
I really do. It's not. I don't have a lot of money, but I really have a lot of peace. I have a lot of good things in my life today. He did a really magnificent job.
I'd have to say the exact same thing.
He did.
The relationships, my children are good
They
kids.
really are.
You know, coming from me being their father, they're doing great.
They're doing really good.
So I'm proud of
and
them.
And I know your mom and my mom get on my last nerve too, but
you know, I have
but
good
they're there,
relationship
yeah.
with my parents.
Yeah.
I have a granddaughter who's beautiful, who's healthy.
Yeah.
And
your daughter's getting a clue.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yes. My work does well. I'm
You got
overwhelmed
more, you
with
got
clients. These
yeah.
high-end clients that are really good to me. They appreciate and value what I do for their children and for them as I train them, as I teach them, as I mentor them.
And look what he gave us with this radio show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who would have thought of that? I mean, I've never thought about radio.
Exactly. I never
the
thought
experience
of us.
that we've had with this.
Yeah. The relationships that we've
oh God,
forged.
With all of our people, or especially you, you know.
I mean, we have 180 episodes.
Wow.
We've had over 170 different guests. Those are just a different guest. And then the relationships and rapport that we built with these people.
Yeah.
That have amazing stories of God working in their lives.
And you know, we got Richard and Van, who's moved on and doing his own thing. You know, we've met some incredible people. We really have.
It really is.
It's a real full life.
It really is. And
Mm-hmm.
and mine started with the foundation of Celebrate Recovery.
Mm-hmm.
Submitting to a program that has the higher power, Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
and that is bigger than me or anything I can think of, down, like you said, on this perspective.
Mm-hmm.
As long as we're out there sharing the gospel, sharing our hope and our faith with other people, and hopefully getting them to be inspired to come to Him
Mm-hmm.
because of what He's done in our lives, then I think we are full of joy.
And you know what? When you were talking, I have many people who come. I have artists. I have people that are very successful in other way, finances, and but I think the thing where Satan uses the world to really get us is if we're not famous, if we're not on Star Search, if we're not getting a People's Choice Award, if we're not getting an Emmy, we feel like what we're doing is not validated.
Right.
And that's not true.
And that's so
and
not true.
hallelujah for those that are doing it, you know?
Mhm.
I'm happy for them, but that doesn't negate the fact that we're still not good singers or have good lives, you know? I think character actors have it better, to tell you the truth, than the stars. Because they have their fame, they work, but they also have their life.
Right.
You know, so I think we should be happy with, if you become famous and all that, the trappings that come with it. I'm not a hater. I say go for it, because I'll chase after you and get your autograph. And, yeah, I want to meet me some folks. I love. I love movies. But that doesn't negate the fact of the life that we have.
And that's a great that's a great perspective. What we do is also important.
Mm-hmm.
It's just as important. I always say, like in a marriage, you need a husband in order to have a wife. You need a wife in order to have a husband. Like,
Mm-hmm.
It's a relationship that's immersed
That's right.
in one another.
Right.
We're immersed in one another, having these relationships. We talk about God putting us on this earth for relationships on this earth,
Mm-hmm.
and to hopefully inspire and build up and motivate it and each other, love on one another, because it's already hard enough as it is, than to be bitter and angry and disappointed.
So what do we tell people out there that are disappointed today and how their life has turned out? What would you say?
I would tell them, first of all, be in reality. If you have some disappointment, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
God will see you through it. But if you fester on it and be like, I'm disappointed in this, and you want it to change, and
Then
you
change it.
manipulate in this, you have to take a step back.
Yeah.
take a step back. Look at your life as a whole,
Mm-hmm.
and then come back to any problems that you need to face
There you go.
and accept it,
And
and
work
then
at
you
it.
can work on it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're so immersed in one thing, you're gonna miss the big picture. Like you said,
That's right.
we have an amazing
We have
life
an
on
amazing
this
God,
earth.
and God loves you. And it might not be where you think, but you can find the beauty where you are.
That's right.
And if there's something like the Serenity Prayer, if there's something you can change it. And if there's something you can't, then find peace and find the beauty where you are, and cry,
Mhm.
pray,
Cry and
and
pray.
talk to friends and find a good support group. That's all we can say.
And I think that's where I find my joy. Our
Mhm.
last question: What
Yeah.
does joy in our house mean to us? Is
What does it mean to you?
for me, it's having
Yeah.
this peace even through my disappointments,
Hmm.
to knowing that I can rely on something bigger than myself, and I'm okay not being okay.
Hmm.
I have amazing relationships with my friends, family, my children, and I have an amazing relationship with my Lord and my
Mhm.
King, Jesus. And He sees me through it. He sees me through it. And if you're listening out there, we don't have it all together,
Mm-mm.
but we do have a bit of peace which gets us through every single moment,
Mhm.
every single night, time after time.
And joy in my house for me today is learning. I've been more of a servant this year than I've ever been, and learning the joys of giving from myself, from an non um, unconditional place, and to be able to see the fruits of me laying my life down for God, helping other people. That's been a blessing.
Amen.
Okay, so
Amen.
I enjoyed this time.
What a great show today, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you
Yeah.
enjoyed being a part of the joy that we have in our house here on LA Talk Live.
Hang in there.
I want to join us live every Sunday here at noon with life-changing stories of hope and inspiration and talent that will inspire you. This is Joy in My House. I want you all to have a blessed week, and we'll catch you live every Sunday here at noon. This is Joy in My House. Have a blessed day.
In my house, joy. I got joy.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.